I've known Jen for a long time. Well, she was working at the church. You were there before I was there. Um, my wife and I were just attending a church, Living Oaks Church, and she was helping out with the youth. And I remember the first time I met you, uh, she came up and was just talking about the students and stuff, and I straight up thought she was a middle school student. And it was like, talking to her like she's a middle school student, and then she's like, "I'm like 19." I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I think you were that old. How old were you? Do you remember?" 19. Yeah. Jen's awesome, and I love being here with you guys. I love what's going on up here at Joshua. So before we start, like, kind of what oh, I want to take this off for a minute. What we Before we kind of start with what we're going to be doing, I just want to let you guys know that, like, the reason why I come up here is for you guys. I really like investing in especially this age group, young adults. You guys are all here. I'm assuming most of you, probably 90% of your own volition and free will. Some of you have probably been forced by your parents, which is cool. I'm glad you're here too. And I just want to spend time with you guys. So over the next 72 hours or however long I'm here, nothing is off limits. Feel free to talk to me about whatever you want. Um, don't let any questions go unasked. There's no reason for that. You want to be wrestling, especially not just while I'm here, but the whole time. You guys are more than halfway done now. What, you got 2 more months? Is that right? I don't even know what day it is. So yeah. So so now is the time. Don't wait till tomorrow. Now is the time. So with that, we're gonna do a little bit of an experiment. Uh, I'm gonna in a minute. I'm gonna put this hat on, and this is my atheist hat. So I'm going to become an atheist. I'm going to challenge you guys. And what I'm hoping, and I know it's going to happen because it happens all the time whenever I do this, is I'm hoping that we can have a conversation um, about why you believe what you believe. And I'm going to press back and we're going to have a good time. And we're going to go for, how long do I have to speak this morning? Is it, what, 3 hours? Yeah. Yeah. What comes next? At what time? Okay. So I'll do like maybe a half hour, 45 minutes of atheist roleplay, then we can debrief and talk about some stuff. And then tonight I'm going to be talking about why I'm a Christian. And then tomorrow morning is going to be tomorrow mid-morning is speaker grill. And then tomorrow night, I think we're going to talk about either tactics on how to engage people. And then the next one, or we might switch that with New Testament reliability. If there's topics that you guys really, really want, apologetics topics especially, that you really, really want, make sure that's made known, because maybe we could switch the schedule a little bit to cater to what you guys want. My background is I didn't grow up like a lot of you guys. Can you just if you grew up in a Christian home, would you just raise your hand for me? Okay, great. I didn't grow up in a Christian home. None of my family are Christian to this day. My mom is like a weird, spiritual person. She's not like new agey. She's just like, you do you, total relativist. As long as you're happy and you don't hurt somebody, of course, she's happy. My brother is a very aggressive atheist. So is his wife. They're raising their kids to be atheists. My sister is an atheist. Her husband is an atheist. And they're living out their journeys as atheists. So I used to be an atheist. That's my background. So what I'm going to do in a minute is I'm going to throw this hat on. I'm going to revert back to atheist Jon, and we're going to have some fun. Hopefully, is that okay? Are you guys good with this? Wonderful. Okay. I'm going to put this on, and then I'm going to come around. I'm going to reintroduce myself. It's going to be really weird and fun. Okay. Okay. I get so nervous. It's like, what if the hat doesn't come off, Jen? What if it doesn't ever come off? I lose my salvation. I'm just kidding. I'm joking. I'm joking. Okay. All right. I'm going to put it on. Here we go. Hey guys. Good morning. How's it going? Oh my gosh. Thanks for asking. I am so good. So uh, I'm so happy to be here, and I really do mean that. Hold on one second. Like, really already? You don't even know who I am. What's your name? Colson. What would you like to tell me? Yeah, I mean, I think mint chip ice cream is good. I think, I think snow is good. I I think my daughter is good. I think, I think there's a lot of good things. Why do you ask? What is actually good? Yeah, I would say whatever promotes human flourishing and happiness within any certain individual at any given time is good. What do you think? Sounds like you may not have thought before you said something. Thinking? I'm not trying to argue with you. No. Yeah, yeah, no. I think it's a good question. I think it's important that we all understand what good is. Um, yeah, I'd love to hear what you think. Like, where do you get your idea of what good is? How do you know I don't believe what God exists? I have no idea what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah, but you are right. No, I don't believe in God. I'm an atheist. But something important to understand, guys, is while I'm an atheist, I'm still a normal human being. Like I'm totally normal. Like I don't eat babies for fun. I'm married to one woman. I enjoy my marriage. I think it's important for society to have good, strong marriages. I'm a father of four girls. I've got four daughters, 15, 14, 12, and 9-year old. You guys can pray for me. Uh, I Yeah, but yeah, I'm an atheist. And I think I have good reasons for my atheism. I don't need God to be good. I've lived my entire life not believing in God, and I still think I'm a decent human being. And it's a little bit, I think, condescending when I'm talking to Christians who think that just because I don't believe in God, I can't be good. So yeah, does that make sense to you guys? I'll go front and then here. Yeah, hi. No, I was joking. Yeah, it was tongue in cheek. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can. No, totally, you can because you know what? Like, hey, listen, I'm totally open to being wrong here, guys, but I just don't see an evidence for God. But if there is a God or many gods and he or she or it or they or whatever, if that like God or whatever it is there by chance, hey, why not pray to him for me? No, I don't pray. I don't talk to invisible people. So, I mean, I think that's kind of a waste of time for the most part. Yeah. I think it's condescending when Christians, or specifically Christians, because it's usually Christians who force their views on others. I think it's condescending when a Christian tells me that I can't be a good human being without believing in God. I don't need to believe in God to be a morally good person. I think that you believe that your God is the one that prescribes ultimate goodness, and apart from your God, you can't have ultimate goodness. And I think that's demonstrably false. Because I don't have your God, and he most likely doesn't exist, and I'm still good. Because I don't see any good evidence. Why do you think he exists? Well, I'd like to have a nice normal conversation, but yeah, sure, you can ask me one more. Yeah, good question. Like, I mean, if you would make it evidently clear to me, either, like, I don't know, I think, if he left a trace of himself somewhere, somehow, I think, if he wrote in the sky, "I'm here," I probably believe it. If he, appeared right here, right now, in some way, shape, or form, I think I'd probably believe. I don't know, but we don't see that ever. Well, because of my previous past experiences. Well, I think you're assuming something, right? So you're assuming that I haven't tried to seek this God or these gods. Where I mean, God, make yourself evident. Like, nope. Okay. So I mean, it happens all the time. In fact, actually, I do actually think that there's good arguments against the existence of God, especially the Christian God. I think it's fairly certain. It's very, very well known where the Jesus myth comes from, and how it evolved over time, and some of the things that you guys believe are just, I think, demonstrably false. You know, you guys believe that the Earth is 6,000 years old. Well, that's a lot of Christians I talk to, and I think that that's an ignorant position. Goes against science. You guys think that you guys think that you believe in a book that's completely without error, and meanwhile, there's errors all throughout it. Yeah, yeah. This is another problem. So that Christians, you can't even nail you guys down because you all believe in so many different things. So actually, what is Christianity? I mean, it's like you guys, well, kind of whatever I want to believe to make it easier for me to believe, but when fundamentally what happens is you guys, no matter what size or stripe you are, you're going to base your faith, your blind faith, on a book that was written 2,000 years ago by men, and men make mistakes. And not only that, but there's actually lots of contradictions. It goes even more than that. I mean, you believe in a God. We talked about good. Like, what is good? I know what's not good. You're God. I mean, you read Joshua or Deuteronomy, and you read the conquest of the Canaanites and the Amalekites, and you read the instruction by God, literally to say, "Go into the Amalekites and utterly." This is His words, not mine. Utterly destroy them. Every man, woman, child, and animal. Utterly destroy them. And then you're going to say that your God's good. Well, I don't need that good God. I think there's plenty of pain and suffering in the world without him. In fact, I would say the majority of pain and suffering in the world comes at the hands of people who say they're doing it in the name of a God, not necessarily your God, but some type of God. Yeah. Let's start with one, then we can. Yeah. What makes me good? No, I don't believe in sin. I mean, and like not like what you mean it. I think. How about you tell me what you mean by sin? Yeah, yeah. So I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. What do you mean by evil? Yeah, sure. That's good. Yeah. I can get with that. I can say that certain things are, I think certain things are wrong to a certain extent, but I don't think they're wrong necessarily objectively. Yeah, mostly. Yeah. Well, what do you believe? I think bad things happen because we haven't, in our evolution, haven't been perfected. I think as we evolve in both our minds and our bodies, I think the world generally is getting better because we learn from our past mistakes. So I think we are ultimately getting better, but part of human nature is, it's kind of a dog eat dog world. So unless we suppress those desires to a certain extent, yeah, we're going to have to wrestle with this. But I think eventually we'll learn how to coexist in a way where I'd say probably mute as much as we can, mute the effects of sin while also uh, assuring our own species survival. Yeah. Sure. Did you guys hear the question? So it's about objective goodness and where do I get it from? No, I don't think there's like I don't well, how about what do you mean by objective goodness? Sure. I think that within any given culture and society, and when I talk about culture and society, I mean culture at large, not individual little groups, but culture at large. I think we come as a corporate group and decide. I think this is actually evidenced through history. We come to decide what is and what is not good, and then what we do is we legislate that morality. So, like, have you guys ever heard of, for example, the Hegelian dialectic? So the Hegelian dialectic is a great evolutionary perspective on how we gain a semblance of objective morality. That's why I asked what we mean by objective morality, because I don't believe that there's some sky daddy writing the law on people's hats. Like, I think that's ridiculous. But what it is there's a group of human beings that get together. They figure out what's going to accomplish human flourishing the most. They codify that, and then you choose or not to place yourself under subjection to that law. And then as we live those laws out, we step back and we look at what is actually happening. Is it causing human flourishing? And then through that process, what happens is we see actually the morals, what you guys would say is objective morals. We actually see them evolve in real time. And this describes things like slavery, for example, right? For the longest time, people thought owning another human being was acceptable. These laws, they were codified. So this was a thesis, hypothesis, so to speak. That's what Hegel would say. Hypothesis, a thesis. And then what happens is you come up with through lived experience, you come up with an antithesis. And then through that lived experience, you realize that the thesis isn't working, meaning it's not pointing to us what we desire, our ultimate human flourishing. So then you come up with what Hegel calls a synthesis, where you revise those laws, those rules, those morals, and then seek to live them out. And we see this evolve. I mean, from the time of our earliest ancestors to very, very now, we see that this has been the general progression of morality within our culture. I don't need some sky daddy like shouting down laws, firing lightning bolts at me, or at least by threat, to believe in being good to one another. Yeah. I mean, I guess it could, but I don't see evidence of that happening. So, like, normally what happens is when through evolution, I think the processes don't really have that reversibility. We don't see we like for example, like we don't see ourselves evolving back into early primates, right? Because once the evolutionary changes, that morph happens to our benefit, and the survival mechanism is enhanced. So you don't ever evolve away from survival mechanisms. So this happens with morality as well. So you're not going to evolve away from survival mechanisms, even in something like this. I mean, you could have a culture, and there are cultures that try to, small cultures that try to do these things. But what happens is they're usually stomped out. Yeah, which I think is totally fine. Which you guys should be fine with stomping people out too, because that's exactly what your God does. Yeah, maybe. What do you mean? Like, what are you getting at? I think that's a really good point. And I think what you're like, I think what would happen is, okay, let me ask a question. Who here grew up Christians? Yeah, you guys, I think you're having a really great point because I think you guys live in a Christian bubble here. And you have this idea, this understanding that somehow the society around us, because of marriage equality, is being degraded. Where if you get outside your Christian bubble, man, that's not what we see in the culture in the society. We have unprecedented things going on right now as far as human flourishing goes. Right now, it's better right now to be a human being than in any other time in society, and that's irregardless. And actually, I think it's partly because we're opening ourselves up to so many different views, and we're more accepting. Like Chris, you guys sometimes are so close minded, but I guess your ancient Bronze Age myth book wants you to. Why would you do you want to go back to stoning homosexuals? Is that what we should do? Was that a better society? Hmm. Yeah, but again, I think you need to get outside your Christian bubble here. I think that when you start opening up your understanding of what marriage is and isn't, I think it leads to human flourishing. Instead of forcing your moral position on what marriage is or what a union is, you're forcing that upon a society that's evolved past it. It's antiquated. So you just need to move. Well, you guys would do well to move on with it. And again, it doesn't answer my question too, because your God. If we lived according to your book here, what we should be doing is we should be going hunting homosexuals and we should just stone them. That's what we should do, according to your book here. I mean, that's not me, that's your book. And then you guys want to ask me if I believe in objective morality. Your objective morality includes slaughtering people, men, women, and children. So, like, if you want to be consistent with your book, we should go find ourselves some homosexuals and stone them today. Or at the minimum, we should go find a Canaanite to, burn them at the stake. Yeah. Well, yeah, everybody does. What do you mean we don't have any explanation for them? What if making something pretty leads to a more enjoyable life, which leads to happiness, which leads to a better survival? Well, I think they aid in our survival. It's proven. This is scientific fact. Just like evolution, by the way. It's just like gravity, guys. Like it's been proven. Like so, but if you talk to somebody who has some semblance of what they would say is meaning in their life, and I'm not saying it has to be objective, it could be subjective, it could be whatever it is, whether it be your family, your career, it could be your religion, whatever it is. That person tends to self-report more happiness. The people who were self-report that they're happy tend to live longer. Well, because it doesn't have to be happiness. It can be any number of things. Because what we as human beings we've evolved into this way of trying to throw ourselves into something because we want to prescribe to ourselves a subjective sense of meaning and purpose, and that aids in survival.
Survival issue.
I don't know why you say that. Like, why would we not? But I just explained that they're not completely useless. Those things, whether they're objective or subjective, those things lend themselves to more survivability. So these are adaptations that our body, our biology, our brains have come to evolve and adapt because it tends to lead to more survivability. Because it's the biology in our brains, man. It's just how we're made. It's how we're made. I mean, I don't know why you're laughing. I think that that's answering your question perfectly. And what you want to do is you want to say, oh well, it's because there's this infinite being that's there, and then like the creation of beauty somehow points back to him. And how does beauty point back to God? How is that any more an argument? Like how are you making any more sense than me? No, yeah, I get all this. I get all this, but you're saying from my belief. You're asking me to answer you from my belief, right? Like, so my belief doesn't line up with yours, so you don't like it. But I give you an answer nonetheless. And you're going to tell me that, well, we've been made in the image of this invisible being. and you've been made in this like an image of an like what's an image of an invisible being anyway? And then when I look at the trees, I see God. Like that's nice. It sounds cute. Like fantastic. And you know what? Hey man, if it makes you happy, go for it. Do whatever blows your hair back. But then to think that I, for some reason, can't have a semblance of, oh wow, that tree's kind of pretty. Okay. Well, how about you guys? Like, I mean, like, nobody has offered any type of defense for all the awful, ugly things that your God has given us too. Like, what of child starvation? What of female genital mutilation? What of the starving of entire people groups? What of one human being, on your view, one human being who's made in the image of God, moving into another group of human beings and completely slaughtering them, not just for their own benefit, but because your book tells them to. Like your book tells them to. As if you can even trust this. Guys, how many words are in the New Testament? Do you think? A lot. Yeah. There's like 198,000 to 200,000 words, depending on your translation, which is another issue. There's so many different versions of the Bible. But there's 200,000 words in the New Testament. How many errors do you think there are in the New Testament? One place where this doesn't line up with another one, and there are varying degrees of errors. There's errors that matter, and there's errors that don't matter. There's errors that place. Okay, I'll give you an error. How many angels were at the tomb when your people found your guy? Two? Are you sure? How many? How many angels, guys? Three? Are you sure? Because she says two. It depends what gospel you read, guys. Each gospel, this is an error. How did Judas die? Judas Iscariot? How did Judas die? Are you sure? Where do you read that? No, because if you read Acts, he doesn't die by hanging. If you read Acts 2, he dies by falling headlong and his entrails bursting out. He's walking down some steps and he trips. These aren't my words. These are your Bible's words. These are errors. Guys, there are 400,000 errors in the New Testament. These aren't, and this isn't my statistic either. This isn't my statistic. This is Gary Habermas, Mike Lacona, Jerry Root. These guys who know what they're talking about, all of them agree to that statistic. They published it. I mean, I guess, I don't know. It sounds like I've done more than you guys have. In order for me to base my life on something, it needs to be more than blind faith. I need to have evidence for it. Yeah, I would say I need to have it's actually more than this too. Let me explain. I need to have substantive empirical evidence. I want substantive empirical evidence, especially if I'm going to base my entire life on it. But not only that, I also need with Christians especially, you guys are believing something in not only in the lack of evidence, but you're believing it in the face of evidence against your worldview. And I've already brought them up, and nobody has sought to answer these questions. Well, you guys have contradictions in your book. You have a Bible that you guys want to talk to me about ultimate goodness, but you believe in a God that wants the literally slaughtering of a people group because he's a racist. The institutions of, well, because it's in your book. Read Joshua. Sure, it's a people group that are different than the Israelites that God wants you to kill all of them. I don't think that's the reason why. I don't think that's the reason why. That's what your book says is the reason why. Right there in Joshua. It's like Joshua 14:6. Right there it says because of the iniquities of these people, because they are Canaanites, because they worship a different God, because they worship a different God, go and slaughter them, is what it says. That's not mine. That's theirs. Yeah. Right. So do you think the slaughtering of babies should result in the complete annihilation of a people group? I'm there with you. I think but I think that extends to your God too, because your God is the one that I have the problem with, right? So your God is the one that is evil. That's perpetuating this evil upon a people group, and you're telling me because it's the slaughtering of these people are so horrific. Well, the people of your God are no better, so you can't have your cake and eat it too. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't have a problem with God. I'm responding to questions and I'm offering you guys reasons why I think you might not want to believe in this Sky Daddy. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I have a family. Sure. I'm going to defend them. I think it depends. I don't know. I've never been in that situation. Depends how Joel's behaving that day. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, destroy him. Right? Destroy him. They're a threat. Destroy him. Every man, woman, child, and animal. 100%. No, I get it, man. Know what? Know what? But to make equivalent your example equivalent right now, what it would be is I should go and the person that's threatening my daughter, I should go and kill him, his wife, his children, his cousins, his mom, his dad, even Fido, his dog, because that's the equivalence. Yeah. Oh my. Do you guys see what's happening here? He's justifying mass murder. Yeah. No, you are. No, absolutely. Hey, you don't know what? If that person's threatening somebody, let's just go kill them all. Let's kill them. Let's kill them all. That's what you're saying. That person right there, that person's threatening me. I'm gonna kill them all. I'm just gonna do it. That's absurd. This is the position this is the position you're taking, and you're saying not just you're justifying, but you're saying your book and your God justify. I would seriously reconsider your worldview here. Seriously. I mean, that's oh wow. Yes, yeah. Let's make it bigger. Yeah, yeah. Let's just kill more. And I'm the one who lacks morality. I'm the one who can't defy goodness. Do you guys see what's happening here? This is insane. Yeah, hey, you know what? I should kill them all, and I should kill all their families. I should do it. I know what you're right. I should find the person that harmed my family, and I should kill them all. That's right. You guys are onto it. Know what? When you guys leave Joshua, go and kill everybody, guys, you know? Do it. Do it. I love the training that's happening here. This is fantastic. This is great. Dude, you guys, I don't know, you might need some serious help. Who hasn't commented yet? Yes. Yeah, I think there's a lot there. Um, I I don't believe in past actions of my ancestors did anything other than they had sex. Yeah. I mean, other than like I don't believe in karma or any of that weird junk, right? You know? Um, I would say that purpose is this what you're getting at? Like, let me make sure I'm understanding you correctly. We're speaking kind of to purpose and meaning. Is that right? Like purpose and meaning to life in general, but in specific my family. Yeah. So I would say purpose and meaning are subjectively decided upon. What you do is you come up with whatever your purpose is going to be, you know, and some of us have strong ideas of what purpose is. I find my purpose in my family and my job. That's not going to be everybody, though. You guys find your purpose in your God, and super, go for it. As long as you're not killing everybody, it's great. You know, do it. Like, do it. Just don't force your morals on me. You know, and but like some people find their purpose in whatever it might be, building spaceships or studying the ocean, or I don't know, raising a family at home. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all. I know that might make you sad, but I'm like, well, I don't have to like, I certainly don't have to contrive a false sense of purpose for them. And like, if we start talking about purpose according to your worldview, I mean, what would you say your purpose is? What would you say what would you say my daughter's purpose is? Until when? What? Yeah. So that's all nice and good, but what about all the people who don't return to him one day? So their purpose is lived out where? So they weren't able to reach or acquire the purpose that they should have. So those people, what happens to them? Where are they going to be? You're trying so hard to avoid this. It's so fun. Weeping, gnashing of teeth, everlasting fire and flames, burning for eternity. So wouldn't you say that that person is actually, according to your worldview, realizing and reaching their ultimate purpose? I don't believe that. I don't believe in heaven or hell. What a better view, right? None of you are going to burn forever. None of you. Mhm. Why is that sad? If that's what you choose, that's what you choose. That's okay. I think suicide goes against our evolutionary, kind of ideals, but it is what it is. Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, I've lost yeah, for a moment, maybe. Mm, and now those people are burning in hell forever and ever. Mm, I'd rather be back to the nothing. I'd say grief is a byproduct of evolution. I don't know what you mean by necessary. I think if you meet somebody who's not grieving, I'd ask, like, when they lose something valuable and it means something to them, I'd ask them what's I'd wanna see what's wrong, but I certainly don't think there's a prescription. I mean, the grief is another thing that you guys don't listen to your Bible on. You know, if you're a woman and you lose your husband, you're supposed to grieve in silence for a year. You're supposed to wear black for 2. I don't see any of this stuff happening, you know? What yeah. Well, unless I'm not a believer and then I lose hell. Sure. But there's a couple problems with this. I've heard this too before. Um, there's a couple problems with this. First is you're assuming that the majority of people who believe, the statistically speaking, to make this kind of work out, is that you're going to end up in heaven or wherever. But according to your book, are there going to be more people in heaven or more people in hell? Okay. So statistically speaking, there's actually going to be more people in hell. So if you take that statistic in mind, I would much rather believe in nothing. You go to nothing than that the majority of people who ever lived on this earth go to hell. I think it's a way better emotionally and morally position, a moral position. So I'm not basing, like, statistically speaking, I'm not that it doesn't move me emotionally or it doesn't move me intellectually, but I get what you're saying. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, that's great. Do I have an internal conscience? Uh, yeah, yeah, I wanna see where this is going. Yeah, this is good, yeah. I would say it's an illusion. I would say consciousness is an illusion. If I'm being fully honest with you on this point, I think consciousness is probably the most difficult thing for me to, justify from a strictly materialistic position. But I'm also not sure as far as being an atheist, I'm a strict materialist. Like, I think that I leave room in my thought process for the existence of something non-physical. I just don't know. I haven't looked a ton into it, and but I'm open to the existence of something like a conscious self, a consciousness. But as of right now, like, if you read the main atheists, the main philosophers in the world right now that are writing on this, they're pointing to the fact that consciousness, which is like what you would say is your soul, which I think what you would say is where you get your moral intuitions, maybe, um, is an illusion brought on by evolution. Um, I don't know if I buy that yet, so I'm working that out. Yeah, good question. Yeah. Yeah, I don't care. No, it's like, whatever. I'm not around, dude. Like, it's like, whatever, I don't care. Once I'm gone, homie. Not at all. No. I that's a hard question for me to answer. I don't know why it doesn't, because it just doesn't. Like, I know it bothers me less, certainly, than the idea that the majority of people who ever walk the earth are burning in hell. That bothers me a whole lot more. Like, I mean, so the nothingness proposition seems like a much better proposition to me. So I'm actually kind of comforted by it, to be honest with you. And yeah, it just doesn't bother me. Hold on one second. Say what? Well, it bothers me that that's what people believe. Like, it bothers me because in the context of this conversation, it bothers me that it seems like my worldview, like, I'm being pressed on my worldview of the nothingness proposition is somehow bothersome to you guys. Well, it should be more bothersome that the vast majority of people are gonna end up in hell. Yeah, yeah. Um, so my definition would probably vary slightly from what you just said, is, um, I don't see any evidence for the existence of God, and I'm open to the idea. So I'm more of a moderate atheist. I'm not like a hardcore, like Richard Dawkins type atheist, where I think the proposition of God is completely ridiculous. I'm open to the idea. I just need to be given some evidence for this God. Um, and I haven't seen any of that yet. So as far as certainty goes, which is kind of like what you were asking, the certainty, I think we have certainty in very few things. And that's why I'm willing to move. I don't claim to have a certainty. It would be difficult. Like if you ask me like what percentage, like are you 50% sure that there's no God or are you 51% sure? I think those questions are interesting but not helpful. Like I don't because I can't really put it today I'm 90% sure there's no God. Last night, when driving up here, we came through really dense fog. I was more like 51% there was no, because if I fly off that, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just being honest with you. So, I don't claim to have certainty on this. Yeah. Yeah. So the Dead Sea Scrolls don't have anything about Jesus in them. There's yeah, so it's all, I mean, it's a lot of, ancient texts and there's all of there is biblical data, but it's all Old Testament data, like the Isaiah scroll and things like this. Yeah. So the prophecy stuff is really fun, but it's like, I mean, it's so demonstrably false. Okay, because you have okay, so you're assuming like, okay, so Isaiah 54, right? So, or 53. And so you have this text that seems to indicate a foretelling of Jesus. That prophecy is written 1,000 years before Jesus. And then we use the data from more modern texts who these guys are writing. Would these guys were writing, would they have known what Isaiah wrote? So they're in writing in light of the prophecy already. So it's very, very easy for them to say, "Oh, wait, we'll add this because look, this guy, this thing over here, like this says this, so we're gonna like make this line up." So the prophecy stuff's I don't buy into it. But that said, the Dead Sea Scroll stuff's really fun. And keep in mind, guys, like I'm not saying you can't get any history from this. I think there's decent history in this, but we have to view it as we view all history. You know, we got to apply things like textual criticism and historiography and these things to this, just like we do for the existence of George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, or Napoleon. And when we do that, there's serious problems with this. Yeah. 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 I think Jesus was a real person. No, I mean, I've read C.S. Lewis too, but I think we don't have a great understanding of the person of Jesus. I tend to think he was probably a good person, like a really good person, a sage, just like many um, like ancient historical figures. But I think we have a difficult time understanding of who he really was because I think the text is so corrupted. I think a lot of what it says about Jesus is questionable. I think Jesus, this is where I'm at. I think Jesus is a historical figure. He lived in early Palestine and Judea. He walked, I think he assembled and probably amassed a following. But you got to also understand in the context of doing history, that wasn't rare. This happened all the time. So I certainly don't believe that he cleansed lepers or gave sight to the blind or definitely raised from the dead. The reason why is because we don't have any evidence, real hardcore historical evidence, to believe that he did outside of the New Testament. So we have a biased, uh, uh, jaded source for these things, but you can look to evidences for Jesus outside. There is evidence for Jesus outside the Bible. In fact, I think there's like 13 ancient authors who mention them. None of them reference his supernatural capabilities, but they represent him as what I just said, and that's good history. Um, has anybody not commented that wants to? You guys like arguing? No, you. No, you. No, you. Yeah. No, I was pointing to you. Yeah, but I really don't want to talk to them. I'll come to you after, and then we'll have to wrap this up. That's so Christianly of you. Sure. So my worldview is I have an atheism undergirded by naturalism. Naturalism is the idea that everything that exists is the product of a purely physical process, meaning all that exists is in the physical realm to a point. I'm wrestling with this. I was open about that to a certain extent. I believe that because I think that's what the evidence tells us. Like I don't think anything lies beyond the dead because well, when you ask dead people what's there, what do they say? Why? because they're dead. Yeah. And I think when we die, we enter into the nothing. And actually, you can't even really say that because like the nothing is like, and I'm not talking about like a scientific nothing, like a Lawrence Krauss, famous physicist, like quantum systems and stuff like this. What I mean is the nothing of Aristotle, like that which rocks dream about nothing, like the dreams of rocks, nothing stuff. Like, so it's like, for us is we can't even really comprehend that because it's so hard for us. Because every time we want to picture nothing, we want to picture something, but it's just, you're over, you're done. And this is why I think it's actually really comforting because it's not like there's no guilt, there's no shame, there's no doubt, there's no any of the stuff that you guys have in you because I think you've been raised in this in an environment that's instilled this in you. That there's a base fear, and that's okay. Like I'm not saying fear is bad. I think fear is a great survivalistic mechanism. I think fear is good, but I think when you're giving fear about false things, just like we teach our children not to be afraid of the dark, I don't think you need to be fearful of God, right? And that's not what your book says. Your book says that you need to fear God. And I think that fear, honestly, I'm just speaking honestly, I think fear has been a tool that's been used to manipulate you guys. And it's unfortunate because there's a whole great world to discover. I'm going to go back here. There's nothing there when you die. It couldn't be more fundamentally different than a Buddhist. Buddhism is more aligned with what you believe. Yeah, that you reach a perfected enlightened state. I'm saying when you die, it's like true nothing. You don't go anywhere, you don't transport anything, you don't see anything because you're dead. Yeah, it's different though. It's way different because it's not a real philosophical nothing. It's a redefined nothing that's actually turned into something. I don't know, you'd have to ask a Buddhist. That's cool. Well, then we're the same. I'm fine with that. This is the problem. So this is the problem with nothing. We have trouble describing it. Like, because I don't believe we go anywhere. You don't go anywhere because there's no you to go and there's no place to go to. Yeah. Well, what would you say then? But there's no state. So, okay, fine. Yeah, it's decomposing and eventually it's just eaten by worms. I'm cool with that. Yes, you're right. No, it's different. That's not what I meant. Yeah, sure. I just don't know how else to say it. Yeah. Yeah. And then this is the last one. Then we got to end. Better be good. Better be good. Let's talk about mass murder again. What says that? You got to do better than that, but okay. The Bible says that. Good. Now we're getting, yeah. Who in the Bible says that? Only one person in the Bible testifies that, and none of them are Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. Well, Mac doesn't. No, he doesn't. Get your Bible open. Guys. This is another example of a fantastic error that's provable in your Bible. Flip to the last chapter of Mac. It's, it's Exodus, Genesis, Mac. Okay, so you're in 16. I want you to note where you see a post-resurrection witness account in the Gospel of Mac. What verse? Where's that? Okay. Oh no. Now I want you to go down to your footnotes. And what's it say? That one there says it doesn't belong. Oh, okay. Yeah, let's go where you wanted to go on this. Okay. But you guys get the point here. That's a perfect example of a textual error. That's a textual error in the book. So what you're going to do is you're going to base your entire life on a book that has errors demonstrably. Yeah. Well, Mac wasn't, but yeah. 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 This is so not convincing, but I mean, it sounds great to Christians. I get it. Like it sounds great, and they from various different backgrounds. You have kings down to peasants, shepherds and fishermen, and yet it tells one unified story, but it doesn't. It doesn't tell one unified story. There are mistakes throughout the entire thing. There are places where it says that God says stone homosexuals, and then, oh, you love your enemy. Oh, wait a second, which one is it? There are places that say there are 3 angels at the tomb. There's places that say there's 1. Which one is it? There's post-mortem appearances, and there's not. Which one is it? Judas dies by hanging, or he dies by falling. Which one is it? So it doesn't tell one unified story. What it does is it depicts an ancient history of people trying to tell their story according to their perspective, maybe trying to shift the worldview or the culture of others. That's what it tells. And we don't need to make it anything more than that. And that's okay. It's okay. But we should at least be honest about it. You know what I mean? Like, just be honest. Does the Bible have mistakes? Yes, they're everywhere. But we can still gain certain things from history. No. Can we gain a resurrection? No. 500 appearances? Paul says in 2 Corinthians 5. That's the only reference. One person says 500, and all of a sudden the Christians want to say, well, there's 500 postmortem. Well, one person wrote about it. So what? I can write anything tomorrow. I can write something and say, dude, it was crazy. I was at Joshua Wilderness Institute, and like 63 of us saw Buddha. It was nuts. And then 2,000 years from now, if that's found, does it make it true? No. It's just one person saying something. And that's okay. We got to just be better with that. And just what we need to be is we need to be intellectually honest. We need to allow the evidence to lead us where it should, instead of us presupposing a worldview that our parents taught us, whose parents probably taught them, which is totally fine. But just don't force it in the categories that doesn't belong, like historical liability. Dude, I have a feeling it won't be. If the reward's great enough, I will. Fame. But people, well, number one, there's very little evidence for the martyrdom of the New Testament authors. You guys do know this, right? I believe 2 of them were martyred. James and Paul. Those are the only ones we have any historical evidence for. Because they were stupid. People do stupid stuff. Have you guys ever seen like the Darwin Awards online where people die from the stupidest stuff? I think they said the wrong thing to the wrong person, just like happens every day in this world. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, or they just pissed off the king. We have no idea if they stuck by it or not. What accounts? What accounts? Which multiple accounts? Which ones? And who wrote them? Oh, okay. You see the problem. I mean, you see the problem? Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think we have one account for one person who wanted to make himself look good. That's what I think. And then we have a lot of other accounts, not non-accounts. And then what's happened is we have a tradition that we've accepted based on that tradition. And there's no factual, like, we have no idea what happened to these other men. Sean McDowell, you guys know who he is? Sean McDowell, he did his PhD on the fate of the apostles. He wrote a book. It's absurdly expensive. It's like $150. Just came out with a new revised version of it. I get my information from him. So this isn't like atheist John speaking. This is Sean McDowell, Christian superhero. And he's the one that says 2, maybe 3. We can be sure that they were martyred, supposedly, but not the others. I think that's something that we should be aware of. All right, hey guys, with that, I have to, it's so quiet in here. I feel so bad. You guys squashed. No, I'm just kidding. No, I really do appreciate the conversation. I hope that we learned something at least. And I thank you for the opportunity. I thank for the leadership here, allowing me the opportunity to do this. So with that, thank you guys so much. It was great to be here. All right, let me ask you guys. Okay. I'm John. Hi. Bald John again. No atheist. Okay. Oh, there's so much. I have a question. I have a couple questions up front that I want to ask. Okay. The first one is, how did you guys think you did as far as like hold on, No, hold on. Put your hands in. You guys are like amazing. How do you think you did according to the merits of the conversation? Now, I want you guys with a show of hands and numbers on your digits, like on a scale of 1 to 5. How do you guys think you did as far as the conversation, as far as like combating the atheist? Okay, so 1 is like atheist crushed and smashed. You guys are like all repenting and running for the hills, uh, like abandoning your faith. And 5 is you smashed, and the atheist John is like, oh my gosh, God does exist. I'm so sorry. How do you guys think you did showing a 1, 2? Wow, you guys are really hard on yourselves. Most of you guys are doing 2. I thought you guys did slightly better than 2. I think you're right around 3, 4, like 3 or 4. I thought that you guys brought up some really good stuff. And there's a more important question I'm going to ask in a minute, but I want to point something out. The first thing is that you guys are totally meant to fail. Like, the experiment doesn't end with you winning. It doesn't. There's a general principle here that we're going to talk about in tactics a little bit. And when we get to that, it's called Professor's Ploy. And the undergirding principle in this is that the person with the microphone always wins. The person with the microphone always wins. You guys could back me into any corner you wanted, and it's easy for me to get out. Because I'll just be like, you want mass murder, homie. And then all of a sudden, right when that comes out, it's a ridiculous statement, and the conversation gets derailed. Or when you're cornering me, I'm just like, yeah, okay, you. See you later. I'm not talking to you anymore. I'm not calling on her again. You know what I mean? Like, so you guys were meant to fail. It wouldn't be a good experiment if you guys won. So I just want you to take, I guess, be encouraged by that. You were supposed to, this is also what I do. Like, so it's, but I thought that you guys did okay. Yeah. Well, that leads to my next question. I think that this is actually the more important question. The more important question is and I can't answer this. We can't show the finger, like your numbers on hands, but how did you feel? Like, how did you feel when it was happening? Like, who here was like super in it, loving the experiment? Awesome. Who here was like, this is okay. Where's he going? Kind of trepidatious. Who here hated Atheist John? Be honest. Yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad. Thank you for being honest, guys. Thank you. So and it's designed that way. I was a total jerk. So it's designed that way, guys. This is the more important thing. Who here felt anxious while it was happening? Yeah. Why do you think you felt anxious? Let's talk. Let's just talk. Yeah. Okay, I'll call on people. Yeah. Say underprepared. Sure. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, 100%. I get that too. And that's a good principle. Both of these are good, like unprepared, sadness. And I think one of the reasons why we're unprepared is because we haven't done a lot of legwork going into it, which is totally fine. If you guys, I'm sure if you given 3 weeks and you given my arguments ahead of time, you would have felt more prepared maybe. The sadness thing, I love that it instills this in us, because what it is that it shows that you actually care. And that's where we should be starting, by the way. Like, one of the things that leads me in my evangelism and what I do is that when I look at you, when I look at people, everybody, I see them in the image of God. And because they're made in the image of God, everybody, regardless of race, religion, or creed, they're of infinite value and respect. They're worthy of dignity in my time. And then what they believe actually matters, because what we know to be true, and it is true, that there's an eternal destiny. And here and now, like, so for the people who aren't believing, like my family, literally right now, for Atheist John, this is the very best it's ever going to get. It's only downhill from here. For us, it only gets better. So we want them, because we love them, to not just believe because it's like the agreement with us. We want for their sake, literally for their eternal sake. I love that. Anxious. Oh, dude, one time. Okay, so just so you know, this is the experience. I get this all the time. You guys actually did pretty well with being. Oh, no, that's a good question. How'd you guys treat me? Do you guys think you're okay? Okay, uh, how do you guys think you treated me? Let's talk about this for a second. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, okay. How do you think if it was just one-on-one that the treatment would have changed for better or for worse? Yeah, interesting. That'd be interesting, because I'm wondering if, like, I'm just like going back to the way I used to be as an atheist. I think you would have hated me more individually, because I would have said some really mean things that I was like not saying here in front of everybody. Because individually, I would have called you out of your Christianity pretty sternly and said, I would say that your parents are child abusers. Yeah. So that's an interesting, I've never thought of this though, because nobody's brought that up on an individual level or not. But yeah, so how do you think you treated me? Yeah. How do you see me through that hair? That is incredible. I am so jealous right now. I'm repenting of my envy. Could you imagine if I had that hair? That'd be so incredible. Yeah, I got that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you didn't even wait for me to say who I was. Like you were just like you didn't- I was like, does this guy stats every conversation with everybody he meets? Hi, what is good? It's like, yo, what's good, you know? Oh, interesting. That's really interesting because oh man. But I'll let you know, it's the arguments for me. I mean, it all comes back to the Holy Spirit, right? It's the Holy Spirit who convicted me, and it's Jesus who saved me. But it's the arguments that woke I'd say my intellect up. If I didn't have books and people in my life arguing with me, I don't think I would have become a Christian. I mean, it's hard to say because God saves who he saves. You know, if he can knock Saul off of a horse, right? He can certainly do whatever he wants. But that's interesting. I was given this. I get different reactions in different crowds. I do this all over the place, by the way. If I'm in a place for a couple days just teaching apologetics, like what we're going to be doing this weekend, usually I recommend that we start with this, just because it's one, it's fun. Two, it elicits those feelings in you. You know, I want you guys to feel a little anxious, unprepared. I want you guys to feel those things. I was doing this I go to this church in Seattle, like at least once a year. Whenever I'm in Seattle we do this student apologetics conference at Stand to Reason in Seattle. And I always teach at this church, Calvary South. They're phenomenal. I've been there for 5 years, and like I preach on Sunday mornings, I teach on Wednesday nights. The point is that they know me. They know who I am. So 2 years ago, I went and did my atheist role play on a Wednesday night. It was about 300 people in the audience. They know me. And they got so into it. In fact, one of the guys, there was a guy like sitting like where you are, and I'm arguing with him back and forth. It got contentious, kind of like the genocide stuff and the killing of people, like that kind of stuff. He starts quoting the Bible at me. I'm like, I don't care what your ancient Bronze Age myth book says. I don't care. He stood up. It was crazy. Big dude wearing leathers. He was dressed like a biker. He stood up. He goes, John, you're going to hell. And then he walks out the room. And he's like sitting in the lobby. Luckily, he didn't leave. I'm glad that he didn't leave, because sometimes I get these reactions from people knew who I was. I actually made a joke of it. I looked at the pastor and was like, "Hey, pastor, I'm going to need like security to escort me out of the building," you know. And he says, "John, that's the head of our security team," which was so funny, right? And so like the reactions I get vary from place to place. Of course, like on that standard, you guys did fantastic. I thought that you guys were fairly polite to me, and I make it difficult. Like, who here just wanted to slap me? Yeah, thank you. Right? Yes, thank you. Thank you for not. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely. But what's this say? Like, I want to dig into this a little bit. Like, what's this say about us? Like internally, if like how we treat or how we feel about somebody that we're talking to. Like, what do we want to change? And then how do we change it? You know, what do you guys think? Yeah. Yeah. There's a fine line to walk. And this is my struggle too when I'm having conversations with people on the street. It's being too relational to the point that you never get to your point. So you want to be kind, you want to represent Jesus, these things are good. And so you want to be inoffensive to a certain extent. But you don't ever want to sacrifice truth at that. You know, and then there's the opposite where it's you want to represent the truth and you do so much that you're just like "Bleh," like out with it, you know, and neither is great. But for me, the tendency is always to soft pedal and then eventually like just end in agreement, where we gotta as Christians, I think, be comfortable with confrontation. Confrontation doesn't have to be argumentative, it doesn't have to be mean spirited, but confrontation's not bad. In fact, it's the confrontation that gets people to think. When you agree with people, it's just agreeing. You know, it's not there's nothing really there's no real exchange of ideas. It's in the confrontation that we grow. Um, but the way my boss says it is that the gospel is offensive enough. No need to add any more offense to it. So we want to make sure that we're not offensive, but we also want to make sure that we're carrying with people the truth. Yeah. Yeah. So what else do you guys think? Like, yeah. But here's the okay, yeah, this is a good one. I'm gonna answer this like the what she's bringing up is like, if you're just relying on this, this isn't good enough to maintain your worldview or base your worldview. Yes, it is. And my response to that would be like, well, why isn't this good enough? Why? Well, because it's just the Bible. Well, it's the Bible, but what's the Bible? The Bible is, somebody was doing this, like 66 independent sources, historical sources. Not only are they're independent historical sources, we also have 4 of them are eyewitness accounts. We have 4 corroborating stories from eyewitnesses that testify to the person, the life, and the work of Jesus Christ. Why wouldn't I be able to depend on these? Not only that, but then we also have the letters of James, John, and Paul. Other eyewitness accounts. These are what historians call, and we're going to talk about this, and if we do the biblical, if we do the historicity of the Bible, these are what historians call primary source historical documents. And I'm going to talk to the person that's saying, well, that's not good enough. I'm going to say, well, why not? Why are you precluding these historical documents, but not historical documents about Cicero or Alexander the Great? Because all we have is copies. So we don't have any originals of ancient documents. We don't have originals of Shakespeare. Why is that? Once you learn this stuff, it's easy for me because this is where I travel, and this is where I live. But like, once you learn this stuff, you can start to talk about it with people. And one of the things, like, to your point, you had said, like, one of the reasons why you feel anxious is because maybe you're not going to know enough, or you're not going to be prepared. When you start doing this more and more, you're going to find out, you, just having gone through this program, know 90% more than 90% of the people in the world. Like, you just have to have confidence in it. Say it like you actually believe it. And go at it, because no, this is the truth. Listen, I'm open to being wrong. If this isn't true, I don't want to believe it. But show me where it's false. Like contradictions, these aren't contradictions. Angels at the tomb, like what in an ideal world, you can't do it here because I have the mic. But on the street, if somebody says, well, what about all the contradictions in the Bible? Can you just show me one? Let's talk. Pull it out and make them flip to it. So, okay, yeah, absolutely. So angels at the tomb. So you have Luke who says 1. But that's not a contradiction between 2 in Matthew. 1 caught his eye. Eyewitness accounts vary all the time. All the time, about very important details. I was a juror for a jury trial. I'm like one of the few people who loves jury duty. Like, I'm like, yes, jury duty. When I get my summons, like, please select me. I'm like doing everything I can to talk the judge and the lawyers into it, and I never get chosen. 1, my background is legal. I was a paralegal for more than 10 years. 2, I'm a pastor, and now I'm a Christian apologist. So they're just like, yeah, no, we don't want you on the jury, like, for whatever reason it is. And like, I actually have like the time now. I'm like, yes, this is fantastic. It's like free Subway sandwiches and like community with people, And I was on this drunk driving case. It was a bus driver. I feel really bad for this guy, but it was a drunk driving case, and there were eyewitness accounts, and all 3 eyewitnesses said a different color of the car. But does that mean they were lying? No, they just had a differing account. Is the color of the car a big deal, you think? I mean, I think it's a detail that you at first you're like, you don't remember the color of the car. They all remembered it's a Honda Accord, but one said it was like blue, one said it was green, and one said it was like another color that's like close in there, right? It's the same thing. Like, and also keep in mind that certain authors, for example, it's called spotlighting. This is a literary technique that's used all the time in literature, especially in history. An author is writing with a purpose and to a certain audience. To make that purpose known to that specific audience, they're going to choose to highlight certain details. In this instance, Luke chooses to highlight 1. Matthew doesn't. He has a different purpose to a different audience. This is completely acceptable within historical. Yeah. Judas. So Judas, okay, Judas is great. I wrote a blog on this a while back because it's such a good one. You got to, so again, when somebody brings this up, make them go to the accounts. You don't go to the accounts, make them. Oh, Judas? Oh, where? Can you flip to it? Here, I got my Bible. Can you flip to it? And maybe they can. Chances are they can't. Okay, because most Christians can't. So give it to them, make them find it, and then you can then read it. And then what you're going to see is that the Acts account does not contradict the gospel account. The Acts account adds details that weren't included, which is totally fine. So what it is in the Acts account, it doesn't say he died by falling headlong. It says that he fell headlong and his entrails burst out. So what we can do is we have to just infer some things that the rope that he's hanging from broke. He had been hanging there for some time in the hut, Jerusalem sun. When you hang dead in the hot Jerusalem sun, gases build up in your body because the parasites start eating away your organs and stuff like this, and you get bloated. And if that body fell, it would just burst open. This is completely explainable. Not only is it explainable, it actually corresponds with modern medical understanding of what happens to corpses. Seems to line up with truth, not contradicting. Long ending of Mark. The very fact that we know that we have this footnote there shows us that we know what's in the original. That's like the powerful thing about this Bible. Nobody's trying to hide anything from us. If you have a decent Bible, I mean, this isn't even this is a cheap New King James Bible. You should have a Bible with footnotes. That nobody's pulling the wool over your eyes. It's not the New World Translation. You know what I mean? It's not the Jehovah's Witness Bible. It's like you have your footnotes and it lists wherever there's issues. And what this is saying is that the long ending of Mac, it's not that it shouldn't be there. It's that it's not in the two oldest copies that we have, Codex Sinaiticus, Codex Vaticanus. So it's not in the two oldest. It's in every other one. Why is that? Well, it's a significant note because normally when you're doing good history, you want really old sources that date close to the events. You take old sources over many sources. So you'd rather have 10 sources that date within 100 years of the writing than 3,000 sources that date 500 years. So this one here is just saying that in the earliest versions, this ending isn't there. What's really curious is actually in the earliest sources. It's crazy. Wes Huff. Do you guys know who Wesley Huff is? Oh. He's great. He's he's a biblical languages expert. He's an archaeologist and a young guy. He's so rad. And he just recently posted a YouTube video on long ending of Mac. And he goes and he actually opens up Codex Sinaiticus and Codex Vaticanus. And in each one of these ancient documents where the long ending's not there, the copyists left room for the ending. Exact room for the ending. So they knew it existed. They just didn't put it in there, which is really kind of cool. So anyways, there's great answers to these things. Yeah. Yeah. Great question. So to go kind of deal with this is a good issue to deal with. It's important to understand, and sometimes you might need to point this out, that when you are answering objections to the Bible or according to your worldview, you can answer them according to your worldview. Like we feel like, because maybe we've been told or we've been trained or the culture wants to tell us that we have to meet people where they're at, so to speak, as far as worldview lines. There's no meeting people where at. There's no neutrality when it comes to worldview. You're Christians. That means when somebody objects to your worldview, you have access to your Christian worldview and answering them as if the Christian worldview is true. Notice I wasn't like adopting your worldview for a second to offer answers to you guys. No, I'm answering you from a naturalistic perspective. Same is true for Christianity. And this is really important when you talk about things like the Canaanites and the Amalekites. Because I'm going to say, well, I can answer you according to my worldview and what I believe in and what's true, according to God. There's multiple reasons why I think that this is justified. First and foremost is what's a type? Oh shoot! The word keeps coming in on my mind when you make a big deal about something it's not supposed to be a big. What is it? Hyperbole. So this is hyperbolic language, which is often found in literature that date to the same, especially like war literature. So did God really mean wipe these people out? Well, we can maybe say no, actually. Why? Because you fast forward, 300 years. Are the Amalekites still there? Well, you should have. And then I would probably made fun of you. And then, yeah. I'm so sorry. Yeah. But let me finish this real quick. But okay, so you have this. I don't love that response, but I'll use it because I think it's true. But also, like, you guys alluded to this, but you just weren't able to stick me to the kind of into the corner where it's hot. I was sneaky. But let's think about what was happening at this time. One is I don't think we understand the depravity of Canaanite culture and Amalekite culture. They worshipped at the altar of Molech. Part of worshiping at the altar of the idols of Molech is they hone these huge statues of Molech out of stone with outstretched arms. And they would light a fire underneath these arms, and they put their newborn babies, sacrifice them, burning them alive. It was a culture of incest, bestiality, rape. Like this culture, this is the type of culture that if you put it in, if any small group of people decided to adopt this type of culture in your hometown, everybody around them would be get them out by force because they were disgusting. They were morally depraved. But not only that, not only was it depraved, God, and you guys kind of alluded this, you guys were trying to walk me that I wasn't letting you. They were living in connection or at least relationship with ancient Israel. For 300 years, God had been using his people to call these cultures to repentance. For 300 years, God was patient. God was patient with these people. And then finally, at the end of 300 years, God didn't enact genocide. He enacted judgment. This is God's divine judgment on a morally depraved people group. And according to my worldview, that's completely acceptable. It's not genocide, it's not murder, because it's God that's doing it. God can choose to enact a judgment any way he sees fit. In Genesis, he uses rain. In Joshua, he uses his people, the swords of the Israelites. This is God's prerogative on my worldview, and I'm okay with that. And then if you're having this conversation one-on-one with somebody or in a small group setting, this is a great opportunity to call people to the gospel. Because I would say, but above all of this, guys, you know what? Not only is this exhibit God's patience with a fallen people group back then, God's also patient today. He's patient because we are no better than the Amalekites. We are so sinful and we fall so far short of the glory of God. Every sin separates us. But God has offered us an opportunity to escape that divine judgment. His name is Jesus. So even in the midstness of what we might think is a horrible God, we actually, instead of seeing that, we see a patient, gracious, good God. Patiently waiting. Maybe, if I'm talking to a non-believer that's bringing this up, maybe he's just waiting for you. God counts patience not as we count patience, but that all would repent and none would perish, is what the word says. Which brings me a lot of comfort because I know an awful lot of non-believers. So if I'm talking to a non-believer and they're bringing this stuff up, I'm going to mention the patience. I say, maybe God's patiently, maybe God will make everything right. All of the stuff that everybody objects to will one day be made right. Maybe God's just waiting for you. Maybe he's waiting for you to bend that knee in order to make everything come right, because he's patient. So I try to bring that stuff up. I always try to get back to the gospel if I can. Does that answer that kind of Amalekite? I was so hard on you. I feel so bad. What's your name in the back? Aaron, do you have thick skin? I hope you do. I'm so sorry. He's like, I hate Jesus. No, I'm so sorry. I felt really bad during that. I'm really sorry. Aaron? All right, Aaron. I am sorry. Yeah. Are there any other questions about something I said that you want answers to? Yeah. 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 So he is, in one sense, giving to people what they want, right? Because Paul says that they suppress the truth in unrighteousness. So God gives them over to the lust of their desires, to the depraved nature of their hearts. So God is actually, in giving people over. I mean, God in allowing all this stuff to happen is giving people over to exactly what they want. He's giving them what they want. We want what we ought not. And so there's definitely that. I would also say, where in the Bible does it say most people are going to hell? It says the road is narrow. The road is broad. But it doesn't say most people. I think we maybe could, at best, we can infer that. But if somebody brings that up to me, I'm going to be like, you know what? Actually, I don't know the number. But let's not talk about that. I'll turn it back on the person and say, well, let's talk about you. Because maybe God is giving this conversation over to you right now with me so that you don't walk that broad road. I'm not concerned with the innumerable people that are going to go to hell right now. I'm concerned with you. And let's just have a conversation. Because what I do know is the places that those roads lead to is real. And assuming it's real, would you rather be in hell or would you rather be in glory? And see what they say. I'd rather be in hell. That's weird. That's how I usually say it. Like, that's weird. Like, really? Assuming it's true, you'd rather be in hell? I don't believe you. I don't think that's true. Nobody wants to burn forever. Nobody wants to be separated from God forever, because that's not in how we were made. Again, I'm coming at it with a presupposition that my worldview is true. Yeah. Yeah, well, because like the great question, how do I know that heaven and hell are real? Because Jesus said that they're real. True. Because Jesus raised from the dead. That we're going to talk about in like the next couple of days. But yeah, because I think we have good reason to believe that this book is historically reliable. And when we turn to the sources, primary historical sources, combined with extra biblical sources, combined with other biblical sources, combined with experiences of people, I think we have good reason to believe that Jesus is who he says he is. Yeah, one more. Yeah. So there's a hidden assumption in my comment to you is that the authors weren't actually writing what's true. So once you have a larger understanding of, wait, no, this is historically reliable, this is actually what's true, they're not just writing it to make it correspond. They're writing it because it's true and it happens to correspond. So you could ask the atheist, like, why would you believe that? Why would you believe that they're altering the true story, the true account towards towards who Jesus is? Also, keep in mind, this is not the way Jesus came was not how these people were expecting their Messiah to come. So in even writing this down, they weren't fully, I mean, not by the time they were writing, they were fully aware. But like, it's not like Jesus like came exactly as everybody thought. He flipped the script, so it's not a perfect correlation like that as far as the worldview stuff goes. I'm gonna go here and then I'll come to you. Yeah, so there's a great tactic called moving towards the objection. Moving towards the objection. What I'm gonna do is in certain instances, I'm gonna try to find common ground with somebody. Like say they start bringing up larger cultural issues. I'm just for the sake of the conversation, I'm gonna agree with them. Donald Trump. Okay, yeah, dude, totally. Like, okay, like I don't care. I don't care about Donald Trump. I care about Jesus. So like, I'm gonna for a moment, I'm gonna say like meet them where they're at as far as like these types of objections. Yes, this is awful. What's happening? I understand it. What do you mean by awful though? Where are you getting that idea that then that's where I would have gone. Another way to go with the Amalekites and Canaanites, by the way, is this like huge, like moral condemnation on your God. Okay, well, where are you getting your standard? That's a question you guys should always have in the back of your mind is by what standard? By what standard? And ask it. Is, so my God commits genocide. So what? Why is that wrong? Well, it just is. Well, no, that's not good enough. By what standard? What standard are you saying that genocide is wrong? Because according to an evolutionary perspective, dude, that's survival for the Israelites. Conquest. Rape, kill, and destroy. Who cares? If I want my genes in the next, the propagate to the next generation, why is any of this off limits? Why are these people valuable? They're not valuable. We're just cosmic dust. I would say, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this is another one that I would probably move towards the objection a little bit, and I'd say, well, maybe I've been taught by my parents this way, but that doesn't say anything to whether or not the worldview is true. Let's talk about the worldview, the merits. Like, just because you're taught something doesn't mean it's not true. Just because you've been indoctrinated into something doesn't mean the indoctrination isn't true. So let's talk about the truth claims, not where I got the truth claims. You know? So yeah, I grew up in a Christian home. Okay. You could ask me, well, what kind of home did you grow up in? Atheist? Oh, okay. So you're just as indoctrinated as I am. Okay, great. Now can we talk about the actual which worldview is true? Does that make sense? Yeah. There was a question behind, I feel like, with somebody. Oh, hi. Well, I don't know what California Christian is. Oh, who was this? Who was it that was speaking to you guys? Was it Jerry? Oh, yeah. Well, if it was Jerry, don't believe anything he says. He's full of lies. Jerry's amazing. Yeah. Great way to ask questions here. Yeah, I would ask questions like if somebody says, "Hey, my name's John. I'm an atheist." The first thing I'm gonna ask is, "What do you mean by atheist?" We're gonna get to this tomorrow in tactics, but I want to know what they believe. I don't believe in God. Well, what do you mean by God? Like, can you describe what you think God means? Oh, you don't believe in this, sky daddy that's waiting for you to mess up so he can punish you. Oh, whoa, okay, that's great. I don't believe in that false God either. So we can join each other in not believing in that false God. So you want to get in, and because as Christians, we do the same thing. Like we assume we know what certain people believe just because they use a word to describe themselves, but oftentimes people use words. One, they don't know what they mean, and two, there's multiple different meanings to them. So we want to make sure that we're asking good questions. Yeah. Yeah, what's that look like when you guys are evangelizing in LA? Oh, great. Do, um do you guys use a prop like a moral survey or great. I wish I had like me. I could probably benefit from going through one of these things. I just love talking to people. So, and I like getting to know who they are. Like my kids know, like we'll be out like Disneyland or whatever, and I just want to talk to people. She hates it. You know, and normally it's like it just starts off with like well, if you have a moral survey is the best thing, I think, because you're gonna ask people, hey, do you believe in ultimate right and wrong? Or something like that. Do you believe in objective moral values and duties? No. Oh, that's interesting. Well, tell me about that. What do you think moral objective and duties and values are? So you're going to go down a conversation with them according to how they answer. You're going to ask different questions and stuff like this. I just try to be real with people. Like we're all like the thing is guys, we're all doing this life together. We're all in the same world. We're all wrestling with the same issues. So just be real and just be yourself. I don't like say, hey, I'm John the Christian. Like, but I don't hide it, obviously. I mean, if everybody knows that I'm a Christian, most of the time I'm wearing like, if we go to Disney, like Jesus Saved shirt. I have an awesome Jesus Saved shirt that's in the logo of Run DMC. It's so dope. And I'll just talk to people. Hey, beautiful day here in California. Where do you go? Well, where are you from? I'll ask, hey, where do you go to church? Oh, I don't go to church. Oh, really? Interesting. Well, why not? Like, I don't know. Why not? It seems like a normal thing to ask. Yeah. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Kind of? Yeah. You guys are gonna be so disappointed with this answer, but okay. Yeah, my goal is just to hang out with another image bearer. Uh, I'm giving you, like, all this I'm not gonna have anything to teach you guys in the rest of the sessions. Dang it. The every morning, like, I'm like a late I go to bed really, really late, and so I get up, like, as late as possible, which is usually when my kids are getting up, you know? Y yeah. So, that's not true. That's not necessarily true. I drive Eva and Annette to school every day. Yeah, that's true. Anyways, but when I wake up, the point is, Joelle, the point is when I wake up, it's time to go. It's never like, "Oh, I'm just gonna take my time in mosey." I don't have, like, this devotion program I go through at, like, 5 AM. Like, I try, but I can't. And, so because I go to bed at, like, 4, I always the reason why I'm offering this is because I always offer a really quick prayer in the morning to start my day, and this has really changed my perspective of people, and it's like it's something like just silent in my head, like, right when my feet touch the ground. "Lord God, thank you for the day that you've made perfect, special, and unique according to your will. Allow me the strength to walk in the steps that you've laid out in front of me." And then I always, like, thank for Jesus, and then I always say something to the effect like, "Lord God, would you allow me to see people as you see them today?" And over years of just doing this, and like, it's just like, God, I really just want to see people as you see them. It's given me a heart for people. Like, I just love people. I just love people, and I want to see people come to Jesus. So my ultimate motivation is like to see people come to Jesus, but it's also undergirded by the firm principle that we don't bring people to Jesus. The Holy Spirit brings people to Jesus. So I just want to be what I'm responsible for, which is just having decent conversations with image bearers. If I get the things of faith, fantastic. Normally I do because I'm a Christian apologist and a pastor. Like, so, hey, what do you do? They'll explain, oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm glad you asked. I'm a Christian apologist and pastor. What's that? Oh, cool. Here's evidence for the existence of Jesus. You know what I mean? Like, so for me, it's really, really easy to get into those spiritual conversations, but I don't go into them with this goal. I don't have this like, I just want to love people as best I can. We're here for but a fraction of the time that we're going to be in glory, and I want to have as big of an impact as I can right here and now with my children, with my wife, and with the people that I meet around me, and the people I shepherd. Yeah, yeah. But I'm open to their worldview. Like I'm open to I'm open if you, but you got to tell me why. Why should I believe what you believe, and why? I ought not believe what I already believe. Like, there's a lot of work to go in here. So like, I'm open to it. Let's talk about it, you know? But I also, underneath all of this, guys, is a very, very important principle that like God is sovereign. God is in control, not you or me. I firmly believe this, guys. This is my theology leading me here and probably telling my hand where I'm at theologically, but every conversation that you're going to have is preordained. And it's crazy what happens because there are times when I have conversations with people or I'll be giving a presentation or preaching a message. And I'm like, the last time I preached 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago at church, I got done with that message. And I was like, that was the worst message ever. Like ever. I'm up there saying stuff that I'm like, where am I? I have absolutely no idea what I'm saying right now. Like if I don't know what I'm saying, nobody else knows what I'm saying, right? And when I got done, like 3 people came up to me and were like, man, I really need to hear that today. Like, let me tell you why. Not just like being encouraging, but being like, I got to tell you, man, it is so great to be reminded that as a Christian, it's okay for me to be in the dumps, you know? And I'm just like, he's like, yeah, I've just been struggling. I'm like, oh my gosh, did I say that? You know, so the point is that God uses us even in our like, especially in our weakest moments is when God uses us, right? Paul says that I'm well content with weakness. For when I am weak, then I am what? Strong. So it's like in our weakness where we find strength because it's not our strength, right? Which is like, and we just gonna need to rely on that. And our job is just put ourselves out there, not convince anybody. We can't convince people. The Holy Spirit does that. So, you know, I just try to do what I'm 100% responsible for what I'm responsible for. And that is just talking to people, loving them a little bit, loving them enough to share the truth with them. And it's not always, guys, by the way. Like, it's not like everybody I ever run across them's like, there are times I'm in a hurry and I'm like, I do not want to talk to you. Like, I'm here for a gallon of milk and that's it. And then sometimes God will laugh at that and he'll be like, hey, I'll be checking out the aisle with a gallon of milk and be like, can you tell me about Jesus? But what? No, I'm busy. Get out of here, you know? But yeah, it's just about making ourselves available. Did you have something or no? Or you just human flourishing? Yeah. Yeah. Well, if an atheist is going to say that it's human flourishing, I'm going to ask him why human flourishing? Why not cockroach flourishing? Why not my human flourishing? Me. Like like there's so what's happening is the atheist is or the evolutionist is sneaking things in there that don't belong there. You know, there's no reason to believe that humans should be the things that flourish. Like, why is that good? And then I'd point out the fact that if you have an idea of what's like, especially when we're talking about what's bad, like if you're talking about what's bad, that means you have an idea of what's good. And if you have an idea of being able to differentiate good from bad, that means you have a standard by which to judge good from bad, right from wrong. And I'm going to go back to that question, by what standard? Where are you getting your standard? Because atheism all it gives you is a subjective standard, your standard inside. Well, know what? I feel like going out and guys, let's go gay bash today. Let's go kill some gays. Because that brings me joy and makes me happy. Of course, nobody's going to want you to do that, you know? And so, or use examples like, and we'll talk a little bit more about this, but I find sometimes just again, being real, not super philosophical with people. And just like next time somebody's saying that morals are subjective, I've done this before with a friend. Many years ago, I was back east visiting friends. I don't get back east like where I grew up. I grew up in Plymouth, Massachusetts. And yeah. And so when I go home, sometimes like my friends like, oh my gosh, Noyes is in town. Like, let's hang out. So we'll go. And my friends, it's really funny because they have no idea what to do with me anymore because they knew me growing up. And like I'm kind of the same person, but really not. Like, but I'll still hang out. Like I'll go to the bars with them and stuff like this. And so one night we were sitting at the bar and I'm not advocating for drinking of the bar. If you guys are Baptists or whatever, I'm so like, just, it's fine. Do you? I don't drink a lot either. Very, very rarely do I have anything. So I can go to the bar and have club soda or whatever. So I'm sitting there and my buddies are talking about, so we get to, it always eventually comes down like, what happened to you, dude? And I'm like, well, it's radical. You know, I met this guy, his name's Jesus and it's crazy. Like he's real. Oh no. And we get talking and we usually get to moral principles or whatever and moral things because life is had or problem of evil and suffering. And I had a buddy once tell me, he was arguing that, no, it's all relative, John. Like we make up our own moral systems. So what I did is he had his wallet, his phone, and his keys on the back. So what I did is I said, no, Jake, you're totally right. You're totally right. So I just grabbed his car keys and I walked out the bar. I went, found his car, hopped in his car, backed it out of spot, and drove away. And then who do you think calls me on the phone right away? Jake. Hey, Jake, what's up? Dude, what do you do with my car? No, au contraire, mon frère. This is not your car. This is my car. Like, I have been wanting a BMW 7 Series forever. But since coming to this guy Jesus, I have no money anymore. So I'm going to I'm just going to take this for a little while. I've come to the moral understanding that if I have reverence and respect and I really love somebody, I take their car. And he's like, very funny, get back here. I was like, all right. And I drove back and he got the point. Is he a Christian? No, but he got the point. Like because things like moral relativism, guys, they're not livable. Keep in mind, and we're going to talk about this tonight. Am I speaking tonight? What talk am I doing tonight, Joelle? Okay. So we'll talk about this tonight. Joelle knows everything. She's great. Joelle could also give these talks. Um, yeah. So, unfortunately, she's like, unfortunately, I can't. So like we make things too complicated sometimes, guys. Keep in mind, we all have to live in the world that God made. We all have to live in it. And God made the world a certain way. So point out to people when not living according to that. When an atheist brings up objections that don't line up with reality, point that out. And sometimes you don't even need to have a philosophical undergirding. Like you don't have to lead in with, a formal like syllogism, like or logic. You just do something. Take his khakis, or I don't know. If you have a buddy that you're good with, like punch him in the arm as hard as you can. Ah, what you do that for? Oh man, this is how I'm gonna show I love people from now on. This is my new moral system. I'm gonna punch him. The harder I punch you, the more I love you. Yeah. Yeah. This is probably, for me, it's one of the more difficult things because there is the Hegelian dialectic that people rely on, where you come up with a hypothesis and then a synthesis, and then you come out of the synthesis with not synthesis, a hypothesis, antithesis, thank you, and then a synthesis. And on its face, it sounds good. But then you start asking the questions. Okay, so wait a second. Was it actually moral that we owned people? But was it though? No. And then also keep in mind that worldview doesn't take into account moral reform. There's a thing called the moral reformer's dilemma, where if you have a world that is truly a social contract, or the like morality is decided by the society at large, that means any type of moral reform that's like wants to get started is by definition immoral. So it should be snuffed out right away. Because anything that speaks against the culture is immoral. So Martin Luther King Jr. should have been shot sooner. His assassination is actually something that we should celebrate, because he was speaking against the cultural norm, and it's the culture that comes up with what's right and wrong. Does that make sense, guys? Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah, moral reformist dilemma. Yeah. But again, I use an example. My brother's an atheist, and he's an atheist, but he's also a vegan. I don't know which one's worse. Like, heaven with no bacon is not heaven, but he's also like a really good guy. My brother's rad. Like, if you guys got to meet him, he's super fun. He's funny. He's like total opposite of me. Like, he's really great. And he started a nonprofit in inner city Boston. He's helped so many underprivileged families with tech stuff. Like, it's unreal what he's done. He's a good dad. He's a great husband. Like, he's just a good brother. And out of his veganism flows environmentalism. So he loves the environment, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. He doesn't wear leather. He tries to be consistent. It's weird. He wears like plastic shoes and like no leather in his house, and it's weird. He's weird, but so are we. But so this is important because, okay, so my brother's atheist, vegan, environmentalist. And one time we were having a discussion about moral values and duties, where our love language is yelling. Like, we just get passionate and we just yell at each other. And like, so I'm outside my office. At the time, I was a pastor at a big church in Thousand Oaks, where we live. And And so we're like yelling at each other outside the office about the existence of moral values and duties. My brother's defending the idea that no, it's a social contract. We come up with this idea of culturally speaking, we place ourselves under the authority of the government. Like stuff I was saying, I'm like, no, 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 Dan. In order for you to have an idea of what's good, you have to know or idea of what's bad. You have to have an idea of what's good. And in order to have a law, you have to have a moral lawgiver. And we're like yelling at each other. My boss comes out of the office. He's like, guys, you need to calm down. Like everybody in the office, everybody in this whole business complex can hear you. Like chill. So I was like, all right. And then I took the opportunity to make a point. And my brother, atheist, vegan, environmentalist. I stepped back from the conversation. They said, hey, Dan, we are producing far more heat than light. Like, let's slow the conversation down. In fact, you know what? I would love to invite you to something really, really fun. It's like, oh, what? I said, every year I grab a bunch of guys and we rent a cabin in Lake Arrowhead, which is a beautiful lake in Southern California. And so I'm like, we rent this lake and we eat really good food. We talk about really great stuff. No TV, no phones. It's amazing. I'll even, Dan, if you come, I'll scrub off the grill so you can grill your barley or whatever it is that you're gonna pick your teeth with. I have no idea. So, and my brother's like looking at me like, yeah, this sounds great. It's like, when is that? I was like, no, 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 Dan, I haven't gotten to the best part yet. The best part of the whole weekend is I rent a boat. And then I take that boat out onto the lake. But with us, we bring a 50-gallon drum of sulfuric acid and we dump it into the lake to see how many fish it kills. Before we do that, we take a bet on how many fish. And whoever gets closest to the number of fish that are killed by the acid wins all the money. It's fantastic. And by the time I say it's fantastic, my brother, I look at him, he's got like veins sticking out everywhere. And what do you think he says to me? He says, you can't do that. You can't do that. And I was like, whoa, what do you mean I can't do that? I can rent a house on Lake Arrowhead. I can get a boat. We're really good friends with the chair of the chemistry department at Pepperdine University. I bet you I can get acid. What you mean, I said to my brother, what you mean is I ought not do that. You know, in my cultural context, it's totally acceptable to pour acid in this big lake. I said, Dan, where are you getting that oughtness from? And he got the point. You know what I mean? Like it comes through an example. So I use examples like this or in conversations as opposed to like sitting there trying to argue, you know, if there are no moral values and duties, then God does not exist. There are moral values and duties, therefore God exists. It's like, okay, well, that's a great syllogism. It's logically correct and it works. But is my brother going to pick that up or is he going to pick up the fact that like, oh, wait a second, in order for me to object to throwing acid in the lake, I actually have to have a standard to say that that's wrong. You know, so I try to meet people there in our lived experiences because it comes back to the fact that we all have to live in the world that God made, whether we believe in it or not. So does that make sense? All right. I think I've gone way over. Are we good? Okay, what's next for you guys? Okay, great. All right, can I pray for them? And then we can do whatever? Well, you guys can go do whatever, and I'm gonna do whatever. All right, Holy Father in heaven, I'm so grateful for the opportunity to come up here to this quiet place, Lord. I'm so grateful that we get to meet you right here on this mountain, Lord. I'm grateful that you're the God who's there, you're present, and above it all, we're grateful for Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, without whom none of this would even be possible. That we get to come before you right now, we get to talk to you is incredible. I don't get it. The creator and sustainer of the universe, right now, your ears bent towards us. Not only do you hear us, not only are you listening, but you answer. Who are we that we are on the mind of you? But even so, we are. So, Lord, our goal, our objective this weekend that I'm here, at least, Lord, man, it's so modest, God. Uh, would you just help us look a little bit more like your son? Today, tomorrow, the next day, when I'm gone down off the mountain, would we all, me and the students and my daughter and everybody, the counselors, everybody here, would we just look a little bit more like Jesus? And while that's for our benefit, it most certainly is. It's not just for our benefit, it's for your glory. And would we then go out and reflect the glory that's only seen in the face of your son out into the world that so desperately needs it? Would you give us a heart and a mind to love people right where they're at, move towards them into the hard spaces, and hold us firm and steadfast in the mission to love you and love people. And to that end, help us love you more and each other better. In Christ's name, amen. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome.